Let's get down to business. I really need you to hear this story because the White House wants to allow companies that are worth $1 billion to qualify for federal contracts and loans that are specifically dedicated for American small businesses. The Small Business Administration, the SBA, that was created for this very reason, says the changes would, quote, reward growth and strengthen domestic production, arguing this is needed for national security. They love that argument. But small business owners are saying this would change the playing field and make it even harder for them to compete for government assistance. Joining me now, Brian Schwartz. We have not seen him in a while. I'm glad he's back. White House economic policy reporter for the Wall Street Journal and veteran Washington correspondent. My friend John Harwood. He's a distinguished fellow at Duke University and a columnist for Zateo on Substack. Brian, what do you, to me, this is like why the SBA was created, okay? And it's hard enough for small businesses to compete in the current landscape. And now this, $1 billion company can dip into this?
Well, that's right, Stephanie. I mean, it could be problematic for small businesses. And one of the reasons is because, per the article you just cited, 75% thereabouts of the businesses that would qualify for this $1 billion type program to get government contracts already are involved with government contracts in and of themselves. So if you look at it like that, this is clearly going to box out, if they go ahead with this Trump administration, small businesses from gaining government contracts, because these very same businesses already have a foothold above those small businesses at the moment. So that's really the complexity here. And it's actually, when you break it down like that, it's pretty straightforward. Small businesses will likely get boxed out of this process, and companies that are worth upwards of $1 billion, if not more, will have a leg up if the Trump administration goes ahead with this. Clearly,
you're kinder than me. It's not they will likely. They are going to get screwed with a capital S. John, what do you think?
Look, I think we can't, Stephanie, remove this from the context of the administration's broader push against, say, DEI, because a lot of these small businesses may be minority-owned businesses, may be women-owned businesses. Donald Trump does not care about those businesses. What Donald Trump cares about is people like him who have a ton of money. Maybe they commit a little fraud. He may pardon them, especially if he gets paid. Donald Trump cares about himself and people like himself, because that's self-affirming for him. So I think you can't divorce that from the context of the broader administration agenda.
John, I don't think that these businesses are DEI. What these small businesses are guys that don't have enough money to come to the White House and offer the president a plane, a train, or an automobile. They can't give $10 million donations to the ballroom or to Trump's super PAC. They can't buy huge lots of Trump meme coins. I think that's the disadvantage, not necessarily that they're DEI. He likes super rich people who can grease him.
We're saying the same thing. I mean, a lot of the people who benefit from small business programs are people who have not made it. And if you look, sort of proportionately who's made it and who hasn't, women are trying to come up, minority business owners are trying to come up. The administration has specifically taken aim at some of those programs set aside for small businesses. But yes, it's all part of the same fabric of a president who cares about people at the top and people with money, and he doesn't really care about anybody else.
If you run a small business, chances are you can't afford to pay $5 million for a one-on-one meeting at Mar-a-Lago. Okay, let's talk about Meta. Meta obviously settled their lawsuit over social media addiction claims and agreed to impose new safeguards like more complex age verification and limits for how much kids can spend online. Florida's AG rejected the deal, calling it peanuts compared to the harms being done. Brian, how do you see this thing?
Well, I definitely don't see it as peanuts, to put it that way. I mean, it is a big difference what we're seeing from the attorney general, at least getting some sort of settlement through Meta versus what we've seen in Congress. Look, I mean, anybody who's watched Mark Zuckerberg come on Capitol Hill and get yelled at, him yell back, knows that really has been largely theater. There hasn't been much from the federal side to kind of take on Meta, or previously known as Facebook. And this really does. It is a step in that direction from the state side. And for the federal side, there's still a lot of questions as to whether and how they're going to take on social media giants like Meta, and in other cases like Google and big tech firms in that sense. So I think it's actually a step in the right direction for people who want to see big tech companies, social media giants, challenged in some way. And they did get some concessions from Meta in the proceeds of like north of $17 billion. It's not chump change. It's not a ton of money, to your point, particularly compared to Meta's market cap. I understand all that, but it is something where the states can look at that they got some sort of win here versus the federal side, where they really haven't had a ton of wins against Meta in that case.
What do you think, John?
I think Brian's exactly right. A step is better than no step. It's hard for Congress to act right now. It's pretty paralyzed on almost every topic other than tax cuts and things that the president lumped into his big, beautiful bill last year. And so you take the legal process as one avenue of trying to get some progress against a problem that I think everybody agrees. Everybody with children, grandchildren, or could see what's happening with young people in the society recognizes that we have a problem with young people in social media. And all praise to anybody who can get something done about it.
All right, we got a quick viewer question. Last one. Andy from New Jersey asks, last week, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said the U.S. could grow our way out of our $40 trillion debt burden. Is that even possible? How fast would the economy need to grow, and for how long? Well, we know Stan Druckenmiller says it's not possible. Brian, what's your take?
I mean, it's going to be extremely difficult to get out of the debt burden. We're at what now? $40 trillion, I think it was last announced to be. Listen, it's going to be a very tall order for the Treasury Secretary or anyone else in this administration, or you can make the case the next administration, to dig us out of this debt. I understand what Stanley Druckenmiller penned through AI and our Wall Street Journal editorial page.
Why is it, hold on a second. Why is it an issue that he penned it through AI?
I don't actually think it is.
This is a big deal.
I don't actually think it is an issue.
His own thoughts, his own history. What is he guilty of? Plagiarizing himself?
No, I don't actually think it is an issue. I was speaking to somebody yesterday, I think the person you and I both know, on Wall Street, and they were actually saying how impressed they were as it came out with AI. That was something that was kind of funny. Somebody said to me yesterday about this, and they said that they were surprised that how it came out. They were thinking, wow, I didn't know Stanley Druckenmiller could write this well, and it turns out it was AI. That's all I think it really comes down to. But my overall point on this is that I think it's going to be a very tall order to go ahead and overcome the $40 trillion in debt for the current president, the Treasury Secretary now, and whoever runs the show next time around as president.
Isn't Stan Druckenmiller's middle name Claude?
Very funny. I'm not sure that it is, but that would be great. And we don't know maybe exactly what he used. But listen, it seems like AI worked better than a speechwriter. And as he said, he started college as an English major. He switched to economics. Clearly, that was a good move for him. Gentlemen, thank you so much.